How reconnecting after years of silence at our childhood cafe changed everything. I didn't expect to see Claire again, not in this lifetime, not after how things ended. But then again, life doesn't consult you before rerouting old ghosts back into your present. I was refilling the sugar jars behind the cafe counter when she walked in. That quiet kind of walk she always had, like she didn't want to disturb the air, like she wasn't sure she deserved the space she took up. Her hair was shorter now, chin length and a little uneven, like she'd cut it herself in a bathroom mirror at 2 in the morning. But the way she looked around, slow, searching, almost apologetic, that hadn't changed. She didn't see me at first. I had time to duck behind the espresso machine and pretend I was too busy steaming oat milk to notice her, but my hands didn't move. I just stood there, stupid and still, as if my feet had forgotten how to lie. She ordered a hibiscus iced tea, no sweetener, extra ice. I remembered. When she stepped to the side to wait for her drink, our eyes met. Her lips parted, no sound, just that half second of disbelief, maybe even recognition, but dulled, like a memory worn too thin to hurt. I handed the tea to Marcus, our new part-timer, and told him to cover the counter for a bit. Then I slipped into the back and closed the walk-in freezer door behind me. Not to hide, just to feel something. Cold always cleared my head better than caffeine. She was still there when I came back out, sitting at the corner table by the window. Our table. The one with the paint-chipped sill and the loose tile under the leg that made it rock if you leaned on it too hard. Her tea sat untouched. I wiped down a clean table next to hers. She glanced up and gave me the faintest nod. That was all. But it was enough. I didn't approach her right away. We were two people orbiting the same memory but unsure if gravity still worked between us. I cleaned tables that didn't need cleaning, refilled napkin holders that were already full, watched her in the reflection of the window instead of looking directly. She stayed for nearly an hour, just sipping the tea, slowly, like she was waiting for something, or someone. When she finally stood up, I turned toward the sink to look busy, but she walked right up to the counter. Marcus was in the back, probably burning croissants again. "You still play?" she asked. It took me a moment. "Guitar?" She nodded. "You had that beat-up Yamaha, the one with the cracked pickguard." I gave a small smile. "Still do. It sounds worse now, but I think it forgives me more." Claire laughed, softly, like she wasn't sure she was allowed. That laugh had once been the soundtrack to every Sunday in college, every ramen dinner, every cheap beer under string lights on the fire escape. "I heard you stayed," she said. "I didn't expect that." I shrugged. The cafe needed a manager, and I needed something that didn't require me to explain myself at dinner parties. She looked down at her cup. The ice had melted, and the tea was more water than flavor now. "I moved back in April," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She hesitated. "My mom's sick." Ah, that one syllable carried enough weight to explain her sudden reappearance, the shadow behind her eyes, the distance in her voice. I didn't push. Instead, I nodded toward the table. "You've got time for another tea?" She gave me a hesitant smile. "Sure, this time, sweeten it." I made the drink myself, no shortcuts. Even plucked the mint sprig from the garden box we kept near the back alley window. When I brought it to her, she was already sitting at the same window table, waiting. The silence wasn't awkward. It was just lived in, like we'd paused a conversation 3 years ago and weren't quite ready to continue, but neither of us had left the room. She sipped and winced. "Too sweet," I laughed. "You've changed." "Not that much," she said. "I still hate endings." We talked around the obvious for a while. Local gossip. The bookstore down the street that turned into a vape shop. How the lake dried up a little more each year. Claire asked about the art students who used to crowd the cafe during finals. I asked if she still painted. She shook her head. "Lost the rhythm," she said. "And the light's different where I live now. Too sterile." "You don't live here?" "No," she replied. "Not really. Just staying with my mom for a while. She's in hospice. I help where I can." I looked down at the countertop, tracing the grain in the wood. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. The thing is, some people fall out of your life like coins from a torn pocket. You don't notice at first. Then one day you reach in and feel the hole. Claire had always been more than a coin. She used to draw people in cafes, strangers, fast sketches in charcoal and pencil. She never asked permission, never showed the drawings, just folded them into a book like secrets. I once caught her sketching me when she thought I was asleep on the couch. Now, across from me again after years, she seemed smaller. Not physically, just more tightly coiled. I almost asked if she still carried a sketchbook, but she beat me to the next question. "Are you happy?" The way she said it, it didn't sound like small talk. It was heavy, real, curious. I paused, not for effect, just because I wasn't sure. "I think I'm peaceful," I said slowly. "I don't know if that's the same thing." She nodded, her fingers circling the rim of her glass. "I forgot what peaceful felt like," she said. "Everything's been noise lately. Monitors beeping, nurses talking in low voices. I miss this stillness." Outside the window it had started to rain. Soft summer rain that barely made a sound but soaked you through if you stood in it long enough. She looked at me and smiled, tired, sad, familiar. "You know, I wasn't planning to come here. I just turned down the street and suddenly the cafe was there, like it had waited." "Maybe it did," I said. The bell above the door jingled as someone else came in, but we didn't look. The world had narrowed down to the old booth and the half-melted ice in her glass. "I used to think I'd come back different," she murmured. "Accomplished. Put together. I thought you'd see me and think, wow, she figured it out." I smiled. "Claire, I'm still figuring out how to make scones that don't turn into hockey pucks. No one has it together. She laughed again, fuller this time. God, I miss this. The rain picked up. The cafe lights reflected against the wet sidewalk, giving everything a watercolor blur. She pulled out her phone, glanced at it, then put it away. I should get back, she said. Nurse texts make me nervous. I nodded. She stood slowly, pausing at the edge of the table. I might come again, she said, not quite looking at me. You should, I replied. There's still some summer left. She smiled, and just like that, she was gone again. But this time, I watched her leave. She didn't come the next day, or the next I didn't expect her to. Not really. But I started leaving the corner booth empty anyway, just in case. The days slipped by like soft pages in a book you didn't mean to finish. Late summer settled over town like a warm sigh, and I kept working in the cafe, trying not to check the door every time the bell rang. One evening, as I was closing up the cafe, I found a sketchbook, old leather cover edges soft with time left carefully under the corner booth seat. I knew it was hers before I even touched it. My name wasn't on it, but I could feel her in the worn spine and the familiar flick of pencil strokes when I opened the first page. The drawings were rough but intimate, people in mid-conversation or sipping drinks or lost in thought, the kind of glimpses you only get when someone really sees you. And there I was, page after page, different years, different shirts, same crooked smile. Claire had been drawing me even when she was gone. She had been coming back to me long before I ever saw her again. I sat there long after I should have turned off the lights, the sketchbook open on the counter, my heart wrapped tight around every page. The next morning, I texted the number she gave me once, scrawled on the back of an old receipt, still tucked in my wallet. I found your sketchbook. Wasn't sure if you meant to leave it. No reply. A day passed, then two. And on the third morning, just as I was pouring the first cup of coffee, the bell jingled. Claire stood in the doorway, rain-damp hair clinging to her temples, dark circles under her eyes. I didn't say anything. I just held out the sketchbook. She walked over slowly, took it with both hands, and let out a breath like she'd been holding it for years. I thought I lost it forever, she whispered, flipping through the pages. I didn't mean to leave it. I was distracted. I didn't press. Her eyes told me everything I needed to know. Mom passed that night, she said after a while. I didn't want to bring that sadness back here, so I stayed away. I'm sorry, I said. She nodded but didn't cry. I sat with her until the morning. She looked peaceful, like she was dreaming of her garden in spring. I reached for her hand across the counter and she let me take it. We sat like that for a long time. Hands together, sketchbook between us, hearts heavier than the morning fog outside. I was going to leave town again, she said softly. Thought maybe I'd already taken too much from this place. But then I remembered this cafe, and that booth, and you. Then stay, I said without thinking. Or leave and come back as many times as you want. I'll keep the booth waiting. She looked at me like she was searching for something in my face. Then she smiled, and for the first time, it didn't look like it hurt. The next few weeks felt like a soft awakening. Claire came back every day, sometimes early mornings when the cafe was quiet, sometimes evenings when the last customers had drifted away. We didn't rush to fill the spaces between us with words. Instead, we shared moments. The way the light hit the window at sunset, the scent of coffee brewing, the distant hum of town settling for the night. Her sketches grew more detailed, more confident. She even started drawing the cafe, the old brick walls, the chipped wooden counter, the mismatched chairs that creaked when you sat too hard. One afternoon, she looked up from her sketchbook and said, "It feels like I'm coming home, not just to a place, but to myself." I smiled because I felt it too, that subtle shift when the past stops weighing you down and starts shaping you instead. We talked about her plans. Art school in a nearby city, exhibitions she dreamed of, stories she wanted to tell through her drawings. But more than anything, she wanted to stay connected here, to the town, to the cafe, to the people she'd almost left behind. On her last day before she moved, we sat in the corner booth once more. I brought 2 cups of coffee, black, just like she liked. She handed me a folded piece of paper. Inside was a sketch, 2 figures sitting side by side, a sketchbook open between them, the world softly blurred around. "No matter where I go," she said, "this will always be my anchor." I looked up at her, heart full. "This is just the beginning," I said. The cafe bell jingled again as the door opened, and for the first time in a long time, everything felt exactly right.